But the urgency, my friends, the urgency of our getting this right, not in the next 10 years, 15, but now, in this decade, for the simple reason that this effort to respond to the crisis of climate is not driven by geopolitics, it's not driven by ideology, it's not driven by nation-state competition. It is driven by science, by mathematics, by physics, with some chemistry and biology, but basically science. And in 2018, the scientists warned us that we being people who can vote, people in positions of responsibility, people in governments, we had 12 years within which to make and implement the key decisions to avoid the worst consequences of the climate crisis. Remember, I said worst consequences, not to avoid the crisis altogether. So what we decide to do in these next 8 years will govern the kind of world that we live in, and it will govern whether or not we can even achieve net zero by 2050. If we don't do enough between now and 2030, we don't achieve the 45% reduction that scientists have said is necessary to avoid the worst consequences. And if we don't achieve the 45% between now and 2030, you cannot achieve net zero by 2050, barring some technology that comes online that does direct air carbon capture and either utilization or storage so that we can avoid what we're putting up into the atmosphere. So that's what's driving this. That's why we're here. Because the oceans are integrally related to the climate crisis. The oceans are suffering principally because of the heat. 90% of the warming of the earth goes into the ocean. It is a great sink for carbon dioxide. And certain things we choose to do or don't choose to do will have an impact on how the ocean responds.